Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Hawks finally found a taker for John Collins' albatross of a contract. 3 years, $78 million, 24 a year, 23 a year, 24 a year. I think it's 24 a year. My math is trash, but y'all get the point. Honestly, this trade went down for Rudy Gay in a second-round pick, and I am waiting to see if there was anything else involved in the trade because it's hard to believe that is what actually happened there. Danny Ainge, you really do things to the market that are unfavorable, sir, when you do certain things. This, I don't know if I'm ready to call it that because I got to assess exactly how bad John Collins' contract is, which it really is bad. But to get it back for Rudy Gay's $6 million contract and a second-round pick, I mean, you know, we're really starting to find out what these contracts are truly worth to these teams that are trying to deal with this new collective bargaining agreement. These contracts that have been signed in the previous years are horrendous by today's standards, and a lot of y'all told me that these contracts were good. Oh, the collective bargaining agreement is going to make it so that even though these contracts inflate, there's going to be more money coming in. I am not seeing that. That's not what's happening. What you're seeing is these teams trying to scramble away from these damn contracts like they're the worst thing in the world. And what I see is a guy like John Collins who's going to fit on a Utah team that's going to allow him to rekindle his whole career if he can get in this rotation and do what it is he naturally does, which is score the ball from the corner and dunk the ball, catch lobs, and all kinds of stuff. I hate the fact that he's stepping in front of Taylor Hendricks, though. I want Taylor Hendricks to have the most freedom possible to play, and they just drafted somebody who's going to likely take his minutes away. So for me, I'm a little bummed by that, but I think it gives him a little more flexibility, wiggle room to make mistakes and not develop so soon. Plus, they're trying to keep up with Markkanen's timeline as well. I don't know if I think that they have it all together with their point guard position. THT at the point guard, is he ready for that? He looked fantastic last year, so maybe he steps into a whole all-star type season, but I don't know. I still remember him as a Laker fan. Somebody turned the ball over a lot, funny decision making, so maybe he made leaps and bounds last year, and Utah fans feel great about him being the point guard. But for me, I think he should be a point guard. I'm just not ready to give him the keys yet, nor am I certain I ever will be, to be honest. But that's to be determined. He is an extremely talented kid, and it looks like they're going to allow him to play the point guard position. Also, it looks like they have a little more faith in Colin Sexton than a lot of us do. Colin Sexton is still a young player, but the knee injuries turn him into somebody else. I just don't know how much upside there is from there for him to be a fairly young player who's not really had a chance to develop because of the absence and injuries that have taken place. It's kind of taking him away from what it is that ultimately we know him to be. But Young Bull was always a talented dude. He's definitely somebody you want to stick on your bench as a role player. Dunn had a fantastic season last year, so I really like him for them now. He's found his rhythm in this league. I think he's going to stick around. So they do have players to play the guard spot, plenty of them. I just don't know if any of them are a sure bet for what it is that they can be, and for all the assets that they have, they should want a point guard. And they've yet to give themselves one. I love the size, though. When you add John Collins, you talk about Markkanen, talking about Kessler, talking about Sensabaugh. Hendricks, as we've already mentioned. Whoever else they got in the draft, too. I think they got somebody else that's of noteworthy nature. It was Keontae George. That's another guard that doesn't pass. They still got Agbaji, who could really shoot the ball. Really, really shoot the ball. I like him a lot. But now that Keontae George in place, his minutes going to be eaten into a little bit. You still got Jordan Clarkson. He's not passing the ball either. He's just a really, really fantastic point guard, which can probably get sixth man of the year if he gets his regular minutes. But I don't know how that's going to happen with Keontae George and Agbaji and THT and all these other people. So Clarkson's probably on his way out of there, which is something to think about. They got so many damn guards. I guess they didn't need a guard after all, but they don't have a pure point guard. None of these people are somebody that you would say is going to take care of my point guard position for the future. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking at in regards to the Utah Jazz. So much scoring. So I think that's what really is going to be something that John Collins most appreciates, being about being on this team is just how many people are going to be scoring the ball around him. They're going to be able to put points on the board with the best of all teams. I'm telling y'all, because last year the system they were running was fantastic, and they added significantly more offensive talent to this, significantly more. Bunch of very talented shot makers they drafted, and Sensabaugh, Hendricks, and of course George. So yeah, that Utah team, there should be no reason they don't make the playoffs. No reason at all. They just got to find who they want to play the point guard position. That person is going to have to be unselfish enough to do that. Because I don't think any of the guards that they have, I trust to be that. I don't think so. No floor generals. So, now they're paying $78 million to Collins for the next 3 years. I think that contract is going to suck for them just as much as it sucked for the Hawks. But they're going to like having the player for a year or two, but you're going to want to move on from that for sure, and it's going to be hard to do so. You're going to have to give up something you don't want to give up probably to do so you probably do best just letting it play out. But 2-3 years from now, when Hendricks is trying to get his minutes, when Markkanen is trying to be repaid, and all these different things are happening, what role does that $24 million a year player have? And are you going to be able to trade it for something? Now, a lot of people like those 2-year, $30 million contracts. And that's kind of what that's going to be next summer. So maybe there's a plan to try to swap it for an even less egregious one. Maybe that's the plan. Because I can't see Danny Ainge wanting that on his books for all 3 of them years. I don't see that. In fact, I don't know why they did this in the first place. Rudy Gay's contract, if I'm not mistaken, was expiring. 1 year, $6 million. So I don't know what I mean. And to give up a second-round pick to get something back that you're going to have to give up something in order to get rid of. If you see him that much of a plus on your team when you don't have a point guard, when you already got his position 3 times over. I like what Danny Ainge is doing in terms of giving himself front court depth because we know these guys can't stay healthy, including Collins. But wouldn't I be just better off if I just didn't? Yeah, I think I am. When I consider that Collins, Hendricks, and Markkanen all play the same position. I don't think I'm better for having Collins in place. Not when I consider the fact that he's going to be coming in and out of the lineups with injuries, $24 million a year. And Taylor Hendricks going to be trying to come in filling in for him and then having to go back to sit down when he comes back and then come filling in for him. Hell no, I'm not signing up for that. And do I have Kessler's money? Do I have Markkanen's money? Am I keeping Agbaji? You're going to have to pay him. So it's a lot of stuff. Do you have the money for the kids that you just drafted? All 3 of them could develop into better than what they drafted to be, especially Sensabaugh. He's going to get better. He's a big dude who scores like the wind. You're going to have to pay him. Keontae George is a very, very talented guy that's going to do a lot of flashy stuff. You're going to have to pay him. It's going to be hard to keep him there, too. He ain't going to stay in Utah unless y'all are a really good team. Which you will be, but he's going to be getting like 20 minutes, 15 minutes a game, playing with too many guards. So I'm envisioning all of this for Utah, and I'm just saying they're going to be making trades soon. They're going to be making trades soon to divvy out some of that talent and shake up some things to make their guard spot make sense. I would be trying to do and then we talk about the Houston Rockets all the time on this channel because it seems like they got all the young talent, but I would definitely be trying to field calls for them, try to get Porter out of there. If I'm Utah, give me that kid. Or, I'm not paying $78 million for no damn Collins. I'm likely going to try to take that money they just gave to Collins and give it to Fred VanVleet or something. That makes a lot more sense to me if I'm the Utah Jazz. That makes more sense to me. But I'm sure they have plans for that contract. I just don't know what the hell it is. I don't know what it is. So that's kind of what I see there, man. The Utah Jazz did a weird thing there. I know the Hawks are happy, even though they didn't get nothing back for Collins. They got that trash off their books, and now they can let Johnson have a little more playing time. Okongwu's playing time should be up in where it needs to be now. That's who benefits most from this, in my opinion. Is those two. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with DeAndre Hunter because his contract ain't all that great either. He hasn't panned out, and they've paid him a lot. And the flexibility that can create with him, allowing Griffin to play a little more. AJ Griffin, who's a talented forward, that would make a lot of sense. Do they need Bogey anymore? I like Bogey as a shooter, but you just drafted Kobe Buffkin. He's going to really play that role. He's going to play that role very well. So I don't really see the need for some of what they have anymore. Yeah, I don't see the need for some of that. You gotta push some guards out of the way so Kobe can play. I'm gonna tell you that right now. He's too talented for playing behind. You know what I mean? If he's a first guard off the bench, cool. But if second and third, nah. You got depth, but you're not developing properly. So Atlanta got some things to consider, but they definitely look a lot better with Collins the hell out of there. So long as they don't use that money to do something else that's just as bad, which is something that Atlanta tends to do. Yeah, that is exactly how that goes. I also like Lundy, the other rookie that they picked up. Lundy looks like he's going to be pretty good. So that's another rotation piece that I think could be solid, which is why they need to create more space for him. But I don't think it's pressing. He has to earn his spot. But, yeah, they got some upside talent. You should feel pretty good about the Hawks starting to condense some of that stuff, getting some flexibility in there. Maybe they move on from one of those 2-point guards and really create space for themselves, get themselves the picks that they ultimately gave up to get DeJounte. I would trade Trey, to be honest with you. I'd keep DeJounte and trade Trey. Honestly, I would. I think DeJounte fits more of a floor style. He's a better defender. Not necessarily a greater star, but I just think Trey's a one-man band, and you got number of players there that need the ball, all of them. They all need their looks, so they don't really need a point guard like that. They need more so what DeJounte is. So if you care, that's what you do. But if you think this is Trey's team, then I don't like the pieces. They have too many pieces that need the ball. Start shaving off some of the rest of them dudes. Get your bogeys out of there. You know what I mean? So that Trey can take 30 shots a game and it makes sense. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'd rather DeJounte Murray and Kobe Buffkin share a backcourt. That just looks like it fits better to me than Trae Young and Kobe, or Trey and DeJounte going forward is okay. It's okay. It ain't got a championship upside to me, but it's solid. If we had them on discounts, you really feel good. But at full price, it's hard to build a championship there like that. So, Atlanta's just average, man. I think is they one of them teams just like, if we can just hover above average, we kind of meet our standards and our people are happy. That's kind of how they operate, to be completely honest with you. They never really building for a championship, and when they do, they're never quite good enough to capture it. Not quite. But they should be able to change that if they continue to draft well and just don't give their money to people they have no business giving it to going forward. That's how you do that. But given the fact that they mortgaged so much for DeJounte, they just set themselves back like every other team that does that, to be honest with you. But there's plenty of hope so long as they trade Trae Young for the same return or more, which is what he probably should go for. And just be at peace with that. Because it ain't like you're going nowhere constructed the way you are. You're not. And so that's what I say to them. I don't necessarily move Trae right now, but the plan is to probably move Trae at some point. Maybe not in the offseason, but let that contract mature one more year, do it next offseason or something like that. I'm probably doing that. Get them guys one more year. And so that's how I'm looking at the situation in Atlanta. Utah has gotten significantly more offensive, but not more cohesive, and I wonder about it. So that's what I have to say about them. So that's pretty much it, man. John Collins is finally on a different team for the first time in his career. The end of John Collins' era in Atlanta probably lasted, 11 years? He was there forever. And was a really good player when he was healthy. So I think he's going to fit even better in the Utah system. He's just not quite what they needed. Just more of what they already had. Maybe that front court help is going to help them with what is necessary, since we always say they need more bigs to compete in the Western Conference with Jokic and Wembanyama and on 80 and all these guys in place. Maybe that helps Utah with their front court depth overall, but not defensively. John Collins, I don't think he's a defensive player. Not really. I don't think so. So that's one of those situations where I say Markin is not a defensive player either. So, yeah. I guess they'll be all right. You definitely love the fact that they have Kessler in place, who is one of the best defensive centers in the game. So he's going to be able to offset that for certain. So that's where you like where they're at there. And of course, Taylor Hendricks is a defensive player too. That's going to translate immediately. Y'all going to see his defense pop off the screen for them as well, especially on the weak side for Markkanen and Kessler. So they're going to be blocking a lot of shots. And now that you bring in Collins, you expect to be able to block even more. So that's where I think he's going to be able to help. Yeah, they're a big team, man. Don't underestimate how huge they are. They are huge. We talk about all these big old teams like Orlando and some of these other Detroit. Utah is big, man. So I just want people to understand that if you don't have size going up against the Jazz this year, you're in trouble. So that's what needs to be understood. THT, Agbaji's probably the shortest guy there. Taylor Hendricks, Collins now, Markkanen almost 7 feet, Kessler almost 7 feet, and they still got some more guys on the back of that bench who are also very tall. Yeah. Understand that. You know, then they had that big dude. What's his name? I can't think of his name. Not Udoka, but Azubuike. The dude is huge. That's a massive player, and I think he's still on their bench. I don't know if they're going to keep some of the dudes they got from the Lakers. Probably not. I don't think they need them dudes no more. Damian Jones and what's the guy from Golden State that we had for a half a second with the three initials? I can't think his name right now. But our guy, Juan Toscano Anderson, I don't think they're probably going to retain those guys because they, of course, brought in this front court help. Just they don't have the role anymore. So, yeah, I expect some shake-up there in Utah a little bit. But as of right now, they are significantly more talented than they were last year. Significantly more. And they were already very talented, to say the least, overachieving, and we thought they were going to tank. So, yeah, man, Utah, they got plenty more picks, too, as we know. And Timberwolves gave them everything. And, of course, they still kept their own. So they got picks on picks on picks on picks. They're going to get whatever they want over the next 5 or 6 years. So, yeah, their reign is just starting, just beginning. So, that's what I got to say, man. Utah Jazz and the Atlanta Hawks. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.